You're listening to the Accordion and Me podcast with Veronique Medrano, recording from the Produce Studios in Corpus Christi. Hi, I'm Veronique, and on this week's episode, we get to chat with Corpus Christi International Tejano and Latin pop star Jennifer Peña. Gracing stages all over the world, Peña has cemented herself as the top entertainer in Latin music, from accolades by the Grammys, Latin Grammys, Premios Los Nuestro, and Billboard Latin Music Awards. Do you see me running out of breath? Just to name a few. Now, making her much anticipated return to music after stints on Telemundo's reality programs, Asi Se Baila and Top Chef VIP, we get to chat with Jennifer Peña on life according to her. This podcast is sponsored by Cricket Wireless. I recently made the switch to Cricket, and they removed the extra hassle of staying connected and calling within the US and Mexico. And trust me, that is always an issue with every other service provider except for Cricket. Make the switch and join the Cricket Comunidad with me, Veronique. And if you think that's too good to be true, then download the Try Cricket app from the App Store to start your free trial of nationwide 5G that covers 99% of folks in the US. It's just one reason why people who come to Cricket stay with Cricket.
One trial per person, 5 people per home address. An unlocked GSM-compatible smartphone is required. Cricket 5G requires a compatible device and is not available everywhere. For 5G coverage, see cricketwireless.com/map for more details.
Thank you for coming, Jennifer!
Why am I getting emotional? Why did I just want to cry when you said that? Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
I have to say, like, it is Tejana to Tejana. It's such an interesting moment for me because I just remember my mother going and buying your Mariposa record and like all the little butterflies, and I wanted butterfly clips. I was a 90s kid. Let's be clear.
That was the thing.
That was the thing.
Man.
I was about to come in just full butterfly clips. I was like on my fingers, on my toes.
Hey, what about the bouncy ones? Do you remember
Oh,
when the
yes! It was like,
and my fans, when I had that album, my fans would get me like tons of those things. So every gig, I'd get like boxes and boxes of little Mariposa clips, and all the little rubber bands.
You would never run out. You were like,
Never.
I was set for promo for that record
for
by
that
the
whole,
fans.
like next 2 years.
Oh my God. And it's so amazing being able to have this conversation with you. I know that you have been out of the music scene and have made your return. And so I want to talk about that, because what was the start for you on social media to even come out on social media? Because you were a 90s kid, so you understood. You were in the 2000s, you were big, and you understood social media, but this is completely different.
Right.
What was the thing that made you go, oh, I'm going to do a TikTok?
I had gotten, remember TikTok was like super trending, and I had gotten super into it. Like, remember it started with the kids. Mm-hmm. So like my son was like, and it was something else before. So when it started, I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. And then I realized like I missed singing. And I was like, what if I like sang on the TikTok? And now I sound what if I sang on the TikTok? But it was just like, I mean, remember, it was during the pandemic. It was during the pandemic. So I was bored at home. You know, I was like, I miss singing. I miss connecting with people. What if I just did? And I was barely starting to kind of understand, really, I'm kind of out of it. And I have been for a very long time, right? So I had an IG account, but I was never really like active. Mm-hmm. I got more into TikTok because I could sing and all that. And then IG kind of became similar, a little bit more similar. So I'm able to upkeep both of them. But I just missed singing. And then it was like, and I was very like, what if I do it and nobody follows? Like, what if I don't get anybody in? What if, you know, like nobody likes it? Or what if they start hating on me with the comments? And I worried about all of that. And then I was like, I just miss it. I just want to do it. And when I did it, like the first one, it was like flood of like comments and like, oh my gosh. It was just a lot of love. Like sentí tanto cariño, and it was like, they remember me.
Of course
That was
we
it.
remember
No,
you.
it
What?
was really hard.
In
Like,
what
they're
world?
not even going to remember me. And it kind of gave me a sense of like anonymity too. Like I can come on TikTok and I can just be like everybody else. Nobody's going to remember me even. You know what I mean? And then they did. And it was like, I just saw comments like, oh my gosh, like Jennifer Peña. And it was like, they remember me. And it was just so, like, sentí tanto cariño that I was like, okay,
I could do this.
It kind of brought me, it kind of like reminded me who I am real quick. You know, it was like that part of me had been missing for a while. And it was like, even though I feel like a completely different person than I did when I was on the stage and on the scene and everything, it came back like that. It was like, that's still so deeply ingrained in me. It's just a part of who I am, you know? So it came back like nothing.
Do you feel there's a difference? Because you talk about just not singing at all. And that just seems wild to me. And I'm sure it's wild to a lot of people who were like, well, she was singing since she was a kid. How could she just stop singing? And it can happen. So when you say you weren't singing, I'm assuming you mean, oh, I wasn't singing professionally. Like, I'm not going into a studio and recording. You were still kind of singing at home, or just completely removed? You listen to music as just a person.
I didn't listen to music. Like, there was a period there that I didn't have music. I'm going to cry. I didn't have music in my life, and I was fine. And then when it came back, it was like, oh my gosh, like, it's like I've been missing such a big part of myself. It was like I got lost in that motherhood world, and I was so deep in it and focused on that I didn't need music. It was like lullabies and nursery rhymes and those kinds of things. But real music, like, I didn't really have for a very long time. And when it came back into my life, it was a flood, like a flood of emotion, you know?
I remember there's been 2 instances in my own career where I have just stopped singing. One of them was really early on. I was 18, 19. I had just graduated high school, and I decided, after having a bad stint in the college space for music, that I was just going to not sing anymore. I wasn't going to do it anymore. And like I said, for people who understand how musicians are, it seems so foreign to just remove that entirely. But to me, it felt, I went through the motions. I did the daily life. I got a job. I did my thing. I went to school.
But it can overtake.
It can overtake, and then you...
The
like,
need.
That it's like a little space in your soul. And then when it comes back, it just feels like you're drowning. It feels like you're drowning.
That's why I said
it's
like a
so
flood.
much stuff.
Yeah. It's like a flood. It's an empty space that you don't realize is empty until it's overflowing. And it's like, whoa, I wasn't ready for that, to be reminded that I had such a big part of me missing for a while. It's crazy. Life is crazy, man. Like, you go through those things for the first time, and it's like, this happens? Like, this is real? Like, that can really happen to a person? It does.
Do you feel that you were burnt out? You'd been doing it since you were how old?
I don't think it was necessarily burnt out. I started singing when I was 6. I started professionally singing. Like, I recorded my first album probably between 11 and 12.
Okay.
I think I recorded when I was 11, and then it came out when I was 12, and by then I was like on the road and touring, and I did it for a very, very long time. And it was constant, and it was like every day, all day. You know what I mean? It was what I did. I wouldn't say I was necessarily burned out, but I was ready for something new. I was ready for a change in my life. I think at that time I was like, I've been, working since I was a kid. Like, I want to settle down. I want to chill. I want to have a family. I want to experience different things. You know what I mean? Because as much as I had experienced it, regular people don't get to experience the traveling and the this and the that. There were normal things that I hadn't gotten to experience. So it was like, I wasn't necessarily burnt out, but I was ready for a little bit more calm and something different, a big change. A major change.
And so that major change has had lots of fans questioning, speculating, why you did it, what was the reasons, because you never came out and said why you did it. I mean, you did pretty much say it, but to them it wasn't enough. They couldn't wrap around their mind that you literally had the world at the palm of your hand. You were the pop star for Latin music, and yet you were like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm gonna head out, homie. Like I'm out," and you were super comfortable with that, and so really that was it. That was it. That was the reason.
Mm-hmm. I was ready. I was ready for that change, and honestly, even though I had made the decision to like start a family and like kind of make that change, in my mind, music and the industry and that work was all I really knew. So I still kind of imagined like I'll have this, but I'm still going to continue with that. And I really imagine like jets and planes and all that with my baby on my hip, and I'm going to be doing all. And it wasn't until really like he came and I was like, oh, no. Like, I need the same bed for him every night. I need him in his crib. I need stability. I need steady. I need structure. And then I realized, like, my life is not structured. Like, there is not structure in my life, which was maybe something I was craving myself. You know what I mean? So it was like, I'm going to give him what he needs, do what I need to do for him. And it came natural and it felt fine. You know, it felt good. And then when he was young and I was ready to kind of get back to work, things had just changed. Like by then, it was a year later, things had changed. And there were other kind of reasons and things that contributed to probably me staying out longer and longer and longer. But the break, it started with like, let me take a break. And then it was just like, you know what? I need this. I like it. My baby needs it. I think I'm just going to stick to this for a bit.
And so it's interesting that you point out in a year so much changed. Not just for you, like you felt secure, but in the music industry, everything changed. Yeah. And so speak to that need always by the music industry to change. And in what ways did it change that you just weren't vibing with at the time?
Well, I think I had already come to learn that in order to be successful in the music industry, it had to consume you. You had to be consumed. You had to be on. You had to be 24/7. And I couldn't do that anymore. I found it, it was just
exhausting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like, it's also part of my personality. It's all or nothing for me. And I've always kind of been that way. They say it's because I'm a Virgo, but I don't know. It's all or nothing for me. And so it was like, if I can't all into that, I'll all into this instead.
Yeah, yeah, I understand. And so all of these things are happening. The industry is changing. And so let's start at the beginning. You are 6, you're enjoying music, you're doing all of these things. And so what got you into a recording studio? Tell us a little bit about that. What was that journey, at that young age in your mindset? Now you have the lenses of an adult, looking back on that. How did literally you become an overnight sensation in your mind?
So in my mind, and the way I remember it, and I feel like I remember it clear as day, but in my mind, I was 6, I sang, I was in beauty pageants. Once I stopped kind of doing beauty pageants, my sister continued, and my thing at that time became kind of like providing entertainment at her beauty pageants. So it was like she'd be competing in Miss Texas Teen or whatever, and I would, provide the entertainment for between swimsuit and talent competition or whatever. And I did that for a few years. And then, and along with that, pretty much standing up and singing anywhere anybody would let me sing, because I just loved to do it, right? And then when Selena passed, that was hard for me as a child because I had just started trying to sing in Spanish for the first time. And so, like, literally, I had learned Como la Flor. I had learned No Debes Jugar because those were my favorite songs. My parents listened to the music, even though most of what I listened to was like country or pop and English. But my parents listened to that, so I knew it. I liked it. And so I had learned the two songs. And for some reason, everybody would tell me, you should sing in Spanish. You should sing in Spanish. And I would always be like, but I don't speak Spanish. Why? You know what I mean? I didn't understand.
You're like, I do not speak Spanish.
But my parents listened to it and I liked it. And so I had learned the songs. I used to do like once a year or something. My aunt worked with the Catholic diocese, so she would set up little things and I would go and record videos. My mom would make copies and send them to the family or whatever. And the whole family was super excited because I had finally learned a Spanish song.
Yay!
I mean, if you hear it, I'm like, my pronunciation was not good.
I have one from me at 6. My mom did a karaoke like recording at one of these places.
Hey, at Gilly's recording studio in the mall or something.
Yes, it was literally that place. We had come up here. She had done a Selena track. I'm going to tell you this right now. I am not the next Andrea Bocelli. I was absolutely not. It was bad. I was like, what is going on? But my mom encouraged it. So I'm not going to talk any smack. I'm just saying, little tiny me.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So, okay. So I had the video scheduled and the whole family was excited about it. Here I can kind of go into detail. I do, in my mind, feel like I'm babbling and giving way too much detail, but we have time. So I'm going to go into detail, okay? So the video was scheduled, and the family was excited, and everybody was like, she's going to do a Spanish song or whatever. And then in between that time, she passed away. And so I remember my mom telling me, and I just remember feeling fear. Like, it's so weird how a child's mind works, because at 11 years old, my mom said Selena died and she got shot. And I was like, I don't want to sing. I was like, I don't want to be a singer at all anymore.
Are those results? I do not want them.
Yeah. I'm like, no. I'm good. And I said, I don't want to sing. I don't want to sing anymore. I don't want to do that video. Like, cancel everything. This is off. For real. It was... It's just crazy. It's a child's mind. You know what I mean? A child's mindset. We're not prepared for, like, real life things like that.
Was that your first taste of death?
Of somebody young? Yeah. Like, I had lost my great-grandparents and those kinds of things. But never really somebody young, somebody famous, that I, like, knew of. And so I just overcome with fear. And then I saw the similarities. At 11, I was like, my mom had told me, like, she's young, you're young, you should sing in Spanish because of this. And she also speaks English, and she's from here. So I saw those little similarities, and it was like, oh my gosh, this is going to happen to me. You know what I mean? In my child's mind, my child-like mind. And so it's off. And so, like, of course, like a mother does, she tried to encourage me. She was like, the family's really excited. They've been waiting for this video. For years, everybody's told you need to sing in Spanish, and everybody's excited. And she said, can you do it? And she said, can you just try? And if you do it, like, maybe I can send a copy to her dad. And I can, explain to him how she inspired you. And, sorry. Yeah, I can just explain to him how she inspired you. And I was like, okay, like, that'd be kind of cool to know that, And I said, it's so funny. It's, again, child's mind. I said, only if I can say something in Spanish. She's like, okay.
She's like, ma'am, you can barely sing, and you want to say a whole ass paragraph.
Hey, I'll be right back. And I go to my room, and I, in my mind, translated, like, word for word, like, I want to dedicate this song to, it was, quiero dedicar, I remember it, quiero dedicar esta canción a la mujer que me dio la inspiración para cantar la música en español, or something like that. And then I said, la reina de la música tejana, Selena Quintanilla Perez. So I couldn't converse in Spanish, but I understood, and I could translate word by word, if I took my time. Mm-hmm. So I come back and I'm like, Mom, I got it. Like, This is what I'm going to say. So I was like, okay, now I'll do it. So I was excited and I did it. I'm like, oh my gosh, that video. I see it now and I'm like,
we need copies. We need a copy.
Never. Jamás.
Yes. This will be VH1s.
No, man, I see that and I'm like, what in the world did Abraham see?
Well, definitely stage presence.
No, I look at it, I'm like, it wasn't even like, it didn't even look like I was having fun, but I was. Okay, so we do the video. My mom writes the letter. I didn't read it, but apparently it was like a 3-page letter. Carta de condolencia, your daughter inspired my daughter, all that she had done and how proud she was because my parents had followed her career and everything. And a couple of months later, I guess, we got a call asking me to do the tribute in the Houston Astrodome. And so it was like, okay, that sounds kind of cool. I mean, I'll sing anywhere they'll let me, right? Mm-hmm. I didn't know what the Astrodome was. I didn't know that it meant like 60,000 people. But I went in there and I did it,
from beauty pageants to the Astrodome.
Yeah.
From beauty pageants to the Astrodome. That is an insane trajectory,
And it was
Jennifer.
crazy because people asked me, like, were you nervous that night? And I'm like, I think, like, walking up the little stairs to the stage, I felt like a butterfly or two. But the second I sang that first note, I was like, whoo, let's go. You know what I mean? This is on. And if you see the video, you will see that I was not thinking about anything but having fun.
Well, that's good.
And I did it. And then afterwards, it was like interviews, like just a lot of stuff that I had never seen, experienced, none of. I knew none of it. And I had ridden there in the bus, first time being in a bus. I'd ridden there in the bus with the family, all of that. So it was also very crazy because this was a family in mourning still. It was like, everybody's kind of crying. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, I didn't realize the bigness of what I was about to do, which is probably a good thing because then I may have been way more nervous than I was.
Yeah, but it goes back to, like you said, there's the sensibilities of a child is not always to stay in that grief. Sometimes it's like you have to express it a different way. You have to go a different place so that you can find the joy in the pain.
Yeah. So I did it. We walk out of there, and I remember walking out of the Astrodome. There's like that little, the little tunnel when you're getting on there and all the fans kind of line up. And I came out, and there were like people screaming and taking pictures. And I was like, what in the world is this? But I loved it, But I loved it. It was just in me. So I was like, oh my gosh. So cool. But I didn't think anything of it. I definitely didn't think it would be my life. It was like, cool, do it. I go on vacation. Like literally from there, I think we went on vacation to Cancun or somewhere like that, me and my family, for a week. And when we came back, Mr. Quintanilla had been calling, so we had call ID.
He'd been calling, and they were in Cancun.
Yeah, and so when my parents returned his call, I guess, I don't know how the conversation went. My mom woke me up one morning and said, hey, Mr. Quintanilla had been calling while we were out of town, and he wants to sign you. And I was like, I don't even know what that means. Okay. And she said, he wants to meet with us today. I went and saw the studio and got a tour and all that. And like within a week or two, I was recording in the studio. And within a couple of weeks after that, I was like doing my first gig or at least practicing with the band. And then maybe a month or two later on a stage. And then it just kind of went from there. It was like nonstop after that.
And like there was a lot of music videos, there was a lot going on, but that first record that you released was a big moment here in Corpus. So for those who do not know the history, because I know that the bit of this is kind of hidden inside like radio, because they did a live radio broadcast of the moment when they gave you your plaque out at the oh my god, I can't even remember.
What was that?
It was when you got your gold plaque, if I'm correct, for the sales.
Was that for Dulzura? That wasn't the one on Johnny Cano. That was Rosedale Park or something, right? In San Antonio.
Yeah, it was super huge. There was a bunch of people there.
I think it was.
And
or
it was
Camargo
like
Park.
Yeah, it was
Camargo Park.
There we go. I was like, I know it was somewhere, and I know it was a big deal because it was your first album, and the first album literally got such high volume sales that there was like a big commemoration practically from Billboard coming down here to present it to you. What did you understand of the music industry at that point?
Not much. I wasn't aware of what even that meant. Like copies sold, it was like, I don't even know if I know how much 200,000 was at that time. Or, it was more, for me, it was more like what I saw on a daily basis. It was like I'm meeting people, they like me, they want to take pictures with me, they're singing my songs. Like those are the things that I really experienced and understood the love that I felt or how loved I felt more so than any numbers or plaques. Like those I didn't understand. Where I was performing. Now looking back, I'm like, wow, I did pretty big things. I sold big numbers. But in the moment, all I felt was the love. I felt like people like me, people love me, and I like that feeling, And
when did you feel that, or when did you understand that feeling change? When did you understand the other half of fandom?
I still don't think I understand it. I don't think I really started understanding it until I was really like numbers, 15, maybe 15 or so. Mm-hmm. It became not even more about, but then I kind of started getting interested. There, ya se había convertido en un negocio. You know what I mean? It was like our job, we do the payroll, we do it was a business running at that time. So then, not that numbers were important to me at the time, but then I understood the numbers a little bit more.
But not just that, it's just like there's a sense of fandom that has a very clear desire, like, super fans, where it's like, okay, the fandom is very strong, but at the time there's a transition happening within Tejano music, within Latin music even. We're starting to, obviously during that time, you're seeing the influx of Ricky Martin, Gloria Estefan, some of these big pop stars, and you are right in the middle making your way into that space.
And Britney Spears and Christina
And Britney Spears and Christina. Like all of, like, I'm, like, there's a lot going on.
So much.
And so, how did you handle the fandom changing? Because a Latin fandom is sometimes different than pop fandom. Mm-hmm. And it has those differentiations. And how did you manage that?
Honestly, it was such a wave, and I was so busy. I don't think I got time to really, think about it. I just kept going. It just became second nature to me. It was like I just do what I do, and this is what I do, and I have a calendar, and I, fulfill my obligations and stuff like that. So it wasn't fully understanding, like, as an adult, you know what I mean? Those changes. There was more desire for me as a young artist who was seeing girls like Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera singing in English, where my first language was English, was a little bit like young girls like me actually singing English too. Like, that'd be kind of cool. Or, Gloria Estefan was like, she was still, young, and like, I had seen a show of her on like a huge stage, and it was like, oh, like young girls perform on like those kinds of stages and like arenas with, so I think I was just kind of riding that wave, and much, much too busy to reflect on it at all.
Yeah.
No,
there's
don't reflect on it until now.
Yeah, there was a lot going on, and I think that there's a lot of assumptions that you had a lot of say at that young of an age into your career. When did you feel that you finally got a say in how you presented to the world? Because you were Jennifer Los Jets up until 2000. Mm-hmm. And then 2 years later, you split from the group, and I say from the group in the sense of, in the Latin market, especially Mexican regional, especially Tejano, there's always this desire to have the lead singer, if they're female or male, their name, and the band. and the band.
And remember that we're learning all of this as we go. Mm-hmm. So first day, it was like, oh, we're going to be Jennifer Los Jets. But then it was like, I don't even know like what sparked that. Like it was never really a group. It was me and my band, and the members were interchanging all those years anyway. So then for second album, it was kind of like, I think the second album was Jennifer Los Jets. But then after that, it was like, it wasn't a big deal to me. I didn't really have much say in that, but I didn't mind it either. Like I don't want to use the word I don't care, because it wasn't that I didn't care. It's just I wasn't aware, you know?
Yeah.
I wasn't aware enough to.
But do you feel you were a bit more aware moving into just Jennifer? Like now just records where it's just you and you're being put in a situation where you're a solo artist now?
I didn't feel a difference as far as the music went.
Okay.
I felt maybe a little bit more control and say in like my style and how I wanted to dress, you know, around that time.
Okay. What was important to you about that? About having control about how you looked and not being told by someone else how you're meant to look?
I think it was probably, I can't even remember, but it was a particular time that I felt that I dressed a certain way that I really liked. And I felt, I guess maybe a little bit more mature, a little bigger. And I remember that when I went on that stage, my show was different. Like I felt like I just really let go for the first time. And then it was like, no, I want to dress how I want to dress, because when I feel confident in what I'm wearing, then I perform better.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, all of that makes sense.
And it wasn't like a decision. It was just like, I liked the way I felt when I wore that. So I want to wear something like that again.
Okay.
You know?
But for you now at this point in your life, do you feel that there is some say-so in regards to like advice you would give female performers in how they feel and how they dress on stage? Like saying, look, when you feel good, wear stuff like that. Or, you know, like, because that's a really big lesson that I'm getting from you is that, you know, you have to be comfortable in how you look and how you feel at the stage in your life that you're in.
Yeah. I think at that time I was starting to mature, so a more mature look for me felt like more me, like I identified with it better. And I think it is important for especially women, because we struggle, and girls, because we struggle, I think, more than boys with self-image and, you know, confidence and stuff like that. I think it's super important. Like if I could tell every girl, know who you are and do what you like, I would. But at the same time, those molding years helped me to decide and decipher and experience what I liked and what I didn't, so that I had the comparison. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there was never really a time that I didn't like what I was wearing or what I was presenting. It was just a time when something happened, because I was experiencing so much and I was able to experience so much. It was just a time that something happened that I recognized how it made me feel.
Do not wear jeans at a 12 o'clock show.
That is, or patent leather,
or any leather, or anything black, or anything
or
like
black
that.
patent leather, or black patent leather jeans.
At a 12 to 4. Do not wear jeans
almost, I think
in the sun of Texas.
Almost fainted one time in San Antonio. Yeah, overheated completely because I was wearing patent leather in the middle of the
I was at an
summer.
Univision fan fair in 2015 or 16 or something like that. And I had literally, they stuck me at a 12 o'clock slot. I had just come from fanfare down at Market Square, drove over to Univision's fanfare, and I had the same outfit on. So it's totally different because one is super covered and there's a lot of shade and there's a lot of breeze. And then I move into this other one that's on the asphalt and very tiny little tent.
Yes.
And I'm like, ooh, this is a new sensation. As I'm swaying back and forth.
I feel so good, I'm about to faint.
Oh my God, I must be doing amazing.
I'm excited.
And there was no amount of water that could save me.
No.
So if you learn anything from this interview,
Yes.
jeans. Skinny jeans. I don't care what kind of jeans. No.
And you know what? I can add something to that because also as a young girl, especially you're starting out as a young girl, I can also say this. Experience the change and allow yourself to experience different things because I'm also like part of my personality is when I find something I like, I stick with it and I'm stuck with it for a very long time. So there was times that I avoided change that like, no, I like this color. Oh, I like,
What
these
was the
shoes.
color, Jennifer?
Huh?
What was the color, Jennifer?
No, it wasn't necessarily color. I
was like, uh-oh.
For patent leather was definitely an example. No, I like my patent leather.
And then you did that one gig.
But then, but when you experience the change, even something like, no, I like to do my own makeup. And then you experience the change of like, I finally allowed somebody else to do my makeup. And I was like, oh, I think I like that. You know what I mean? But I get so stuck in things that you don't allow yourself to experience contrasting things so that you can decide. And we're growing into ourselves. So what you like 5 years ago may not necessarily, you can continue to do it because it's comfortable, but it may not necessarily describe you anymore, you know?
Yeah. And so there was a big change.
And you don't realize it until you try something else and you're like, oh, this fits me much better. This suits me much better.
Early in 2020, I was in an accident and the consequences I was living with afterwards was a lot to handle all at once. So if you're like me and trying to recover while trying not to lose your car, lose work and therefore money, and super injured and have a huge growing stack of hospital bills to pay, then you need a professional to get the care you need. In case of an accident, you need a lawyer to protect your rights and your wallet. And honestly, you don't have to look any further than that simple phrase by going to incaseofanaccident.com or encasodeaccidente.com for a free consultation 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And if the person who suffered the accident wasn't you, but maybe it was your tia, your abuelita, or your second cousin twice removed, don't worry. Everyone at incaseofanaccident.com or encasodeaccidente.com can speak Spanish, hablan español, and they can take text messages on WhatsApp at 888-990-0911. Don't forget to tell them that Veronique Medrano from Accordion to Me sent you. You don't want the vibes to end? Accordion to Me, you're in luck because I'm the advertiser. You hear that? Go listen to my music on your favorite streaming platform by searching Veronique Medrano. The songs that you need to add to your playlist right now are Mezcal Maria featuring Beatriz Gonzalez and my new Spanish Tejano country tune, Que Hueva, that recently won Nashville's Music Row magazine's Discovery Award. Also, if you're wanting to sport some merch, we'll be launching pod and music merch on my website, www.veroniquemedrano.com. New merch will go each month, so hurry while it lasts and get some matching merch for you and your mom. You know, so she wants some new swag? Whoop, whoop. This has been your paid ad read. Whoop, whoop.
And lots of changes in your life when you're young and going into a new record label, a new management. Mm-hmm. At about when was that? And for those who maybe don't know your history, and how did you feel changing from something that might have been seen as more localized, as more of a Texas brand, to now moving to an international brand and moving in that space?
Well, I think that was all kind of gradual. I think that, and again, it was just allowing decisions to be made for me and then enjoying them. And it wasn't until it was kind of like, it's just life. Like you get to, I don't like that. I may not know what I want, but I know I don't like that. You know what I mean? That's how you kind of navigate, how you can navigate life sometimes. It was gradual for me. So we had done the first couple of albums, Dulzura, Jennifer y los Jets, Mariposa obviously was coming of age album for me. The songs.
My mom hated me for a while. That shit was on repeat into the night. Like, I don't know if you guys know those CD players that you press repeat and it'll just repeat the whole album over and over.
I do remember.
Yeah, so that was me. My mom was like,
I am done with Tengo Miedo. Yo no tengo miedo.
That CD better tengo miedo, because suddenly it's going to disappear.
Yes.
Time out for the CD. But yeah.
So Mariposa, I was, feeling more physical change. I'm coming, 15. And then the next album was Abrázame, Bésame. That's where I started to gradually, like that whole year with that album, that crossed over into Mexico. And of course, business-wise, I didn't understand what that was. But I realized, like, I'm going to Mexico every weekend instead of, like, parts of Texas, what I was used to, So I did a lot of traveling to Mexico for that album. And then the fifth album was when my contract had expired. I was 18. There, I was feeling a little bit more aware of what I wanted to put out. And it was, like, aware of, as a coming-of-age adult now, I need to have a path. Libre. Yeah.
Libre. Jennifer.
Then came Libre. And that's why I started to feel like, okay, I'm an adult. This is my life. This is mine, my career. And I'm going to kind of take the reins. Like, I'll take it from here, guys. Thank you. Thank you for, also helping me find myself, like making the decisions for me until I could decide for myself. And now I can decide for myself,
Yeah. Yeah, so
it was liberating. That's why hence the name Libre.
Yeah. And then you something that's here on your discography, which you obviously know yourself, but was the
don't ask me what songs
no,
were. I don't remember.
Houston Rodeo Live. Now you have your Libre record, you have your Seducción record, which was in 2004, but you released 2 albums in the same year, which at the time...
Did I?
Yes. You released 2 albums in the same year, which was unheard of at the time for the music industry. It's not like it is now. Now artists are launching 3, 4, 5 albums, 30-track records.
Are they?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
There's a 30...
I'm trying to get one together.
You have a 30-track album that's out right now. Like albums are so different now. Albums are treated so different now. But at the time, for you, especially in 2004, that was a monumental music industry moment of a Latin artist releasing 2 albums in 1 year, Seducción, and then the Houston Rodeo Live recording. Now, take us through that year. So this is 2004. Take us through the year of putting out this record and putting that out and then getting the Houston Rodeo, performance and making these decisions to like, okay, like we're doing this.
I think that even though I was becoming aware and in control, it was only to a certain extent. Those decisions were made by the label. I may or may not have even been aware that we were recording the Houston Rodeo.
Well, thank God nobody told her. Again, don't tell her about big important things.
I may
just let it happen.
I don't think I was actually, and that may have been something they decided to do later, but it was kind of cool. It's again, being allowed to experience those things was like, but it still wasn't like, I wasn't, I don't know, aware, educated enough. I don't know what the word is, but I wasn't there enough to be like, hey guys, this is what we're going to do. We're going to release Seducción. We're going to release Live. And no,
this is all
my
label.
Business is not the music biz. My business is singing. It's making the music. It's performing the music. It's not making those business decisions, Even today, I'm getting a little bit more involved in obviously the business end because I'm an adult now.
And you're independent.
I don't want to. I'm like, I just want to sing. Can you decide? Ask Jenny all the time. Like, can you just
There are two Jennies in this room. I just want y'all to know.
Take care of that for me, please. But now it's a conscious decision I'd rather not mess with that. I'm a creative. You know what I mean? I want to be more in that energy, in that place, in that position, in that space, more of the time than in the business space.
And so
obviously aware of it now and educated in it now, but I want to be.
But it's two separate people, you feel?
Have to be. You know, we have to change our hats.
And how does it feel going into business mode for you? Like, I know you're saying you prefer to be in art, but when it comes to now your name, your likeness, who you are, what is something that people should really understand when it comes to you and your business as a businesswoman?
That is a very good question, Veronique. It's so deep and insightful. I don't know if I have an answer. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so now I feel like I'm not going to put something out there that I don't like myself. So, and not saying that I ever did, because there were never songs that I recorded or sang that I just didn't like. I had my preferences, and I liked some more than others. But today, I'm more aware of everything and how it's all connected. So I want to be creative. I want to be in it all. But at the same time, I know I don't know it all. And I can accept that I don't want to know it all. But I'm also very choosy with the people that I surround myself with, personally and business-wise. Because now as an adult, I realize that I have to protect my energy. I have to protect my kids. I have to protect my mental health. You know, we as adults, we have to recognize that, right? So I have to protect those things. And business-wise, I have to trust you. If you're going to be in my business, I have to be able to be like, yeah, open my purse, get it, it's right there. You know what I mean? That's most important to me right now. Like,
how long did it take to get that?
Because it's all brand new for me again. Now I'm like, no, I don't want gaps. I don't want good and bad. I want all good around me, and not to say that life isn't going to happen or I'm going to misjudge sometimes, but I'm trying my very best. You know, I want to feel protected. I want to be protected. And I don't want it to always be me having to protect myself. So I will protect what I can, and I will choose other people that I trust enough to protect me in the other aspects of my life, including my business.
When did that frame of mind come into place?
About a year ago. Last year.
Well, dang. That's new.
Life throws things at you that you never, ever expect to happen, and it changes your mindset. That's why life shapes you. That's why we're shaped by our experiences and our circumstances and all of that, right? Mm-hmm. It's you take it, how we take everything that happens to us and the people that come in and out, how we take all that and handle it and move forward, and how it changes our perspectives on things. That's life. That's this thing we call life, right? It's fun, but it's hard. And things are thrown at you sometimes that you never ever expect, and it shifts your mindset a little bit. Little by little, it shifts your mindset. So I feel like there are parts of me that I feel are set in stone, but I know that life is going to happen, and it may change that part of me later.
And so it's interesting
I
that
sound so wise, don't I? Tanta sabiduría en este cuarto. I'm just kidding.
Well, damn.
I'm sorry, I can't be too serious.
No, it's okay. No, I mean, what's interesting to me is that there's so much growth in you. Like, there's a lot of comparison, especially now that there's more and more of you out in the public, and you are making this very conscious effort to revitalize, who you are as a person, and the image that you want to put out there and the type of person that you want to be, because it was very different when you were young. You just went out there and performed and were happy and doing your thing, but there was always an undercurrent of something. And so nowadays, of course, people want to compare you to how you were at 15. But what do you say to that at this age? Understanding how social media it is and how everything is, what do you say to the comparison of you now to when you were 15 years old?
I say, I hope that I'm different. But I hope that the essence of who I am is the same. And I feel like the essence of who I am is the same. And I feel like that is why people can still show me love and still be waiting for what I have to come, because they're able, hopefully, I pray, that they're able to connect with me now as a person who has experienced life and the things that happen in life just like them. For real.
For real. You heard that. For real.
For real. Just, and I pray that what they do love about me and can relate to me in stays, and I think I hope that that's just my joy. Like, life is hard, but I still love life. And I still love people. I hate a lot of people. No, I'm just kidding. She said Allah. No, I'm just kidding. But there are, there are those moments like, oh my gosh, like there's those hard people difficult people to deal with in life. Yeah, but generally, as a whole, like, I love people. I love meeting new people. I love starting random conversations with strangers. I love listening to people's stories. I love watching people. You know what I mean? And I hope that people feel that with me when they see me now as a grown-up. It's like, that Jennifer, that part of Jennifer has not changed. She loves singing. She loves performing. She loves being in front of camera.
Wherever you put her on a stage.
Exactly.
Beauty pageants. Come on.
And most importantly, she loves us. She loves her people the way that we love her. Like, that's it. That's what it's all about. I want them to feel that and know that that hasn't changed.
You have been listening to the Accordion to Me podcast, which is made possible by listeners like you rating and reviewing the podcast. Every time you leave us a review, one of your haters loses their wings and their wallet and maybe their keys. So if you love the podcast, leave us some stars and a quick blurb. And if you hate the podcast, send it to your enemies. Either way, everybody wins. Bye.
How did it feel, taking the time, you're doing TikTok, all of these different things are happening, you're enjoying yourself. Tell us how the Telemundo deal happened with your first reality TV show.
That was just like a phone call. It was like a friend in the industry, and it was like, hey, so-and-so is trying to get a hold of you. They're, something about a reality show or something. And it was like something about a dancing show. And I was like, I like dancing. When they explained to me what Asi Se Baila was, I was totally like, oh, we're going to go and do our TikTok dances and we're going to win. And first day I was like, what did I do? I'm like, my body is dead at this point. I was not prepared, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
You could tell that both of y'all had such a great time.
It was
that for sure. I'm not going to say you could tell that you were like, because I'm sorry, like I would have faked it till I made it. I'm like, I'm having such a great time. Why can't you move your arm?
But you know what I do remember about both of those? Like, my personality, my desire to always kind of do my best at everything and always give my all at everything kind of overtook in those shows. And kind of dulled it for me. You know what I mean? Like, if I think about it, if I could redo them now, I would just totally go and just have fun and not actually try to be the best dancer on the show. You know what I mean? And the best cook, because those I am not, as we know. As made very clear.
But here's the thing, you lasted for a really long time, and you had such... Here's the thing, with both of those shows, I think it was such a beautiful way for you to show the complex person you are now. And that is what I think a lot of people took from it, is like, oh, she's not just giving herself, like, there's a show that Telemundo has where they change, like, the features of somebody and they sing different songs from different artists. So it's like a masked singer, but not. That's the best way to describe it. Somebody look it up. I'm not going to tell you what the name of the show is. But... You know, you could have given something like that, where it's like, oh, okay, I'm singing again. Now I'm singing like as a competition. But instead, you took a competition reality show and did something completely different. And for me, as a fan, as a fellow musician, as a fellow artist, I really appreciated it because it showed that there's more to us than just song and dance. Well, the dancing part aside, but like just singing and doing choreography for a tour or something. Yeah. And so that was really, to me, one of the beautiful things about you doing those things.
And it was fun. Don't get me wrong. Like, it was fun for me to experience those things and be a part of the show and all of that. I just gave it a little bit too much thought. Like,
so now if Telemundo asks you to do like a Survivor style show. A survival style show where you are a survivor and you must vote everyone else
naked
off.
and afraid? No, I'm just kidding. That I wouldn't do.
No. Survivor. So it's like you're in a house or like a Big Brother house, like something like that. Would you be open to something like that, or is it just too much time away from family?
Yeah, that's something like that. I absolutely couldn't. And Cristina was on Top Chef and she had been on Casa de los Famosos, and when she told me, like, I didn't have my phone, I couldn't talk to my son, I'm like, out for me. Never, ever an option.
Nope.
Yeah. You know, I was away from my kids for a month at that time for Top Chef, but I was every day, you know, all day, every chance I could, talking to them. So I was still, you know, very connected.
Okay, y'all, so you guys know what's up.
It's all about my family. It's all about my kids. As long as I can make it work for them. Even Asi Se Baila was hard because I was like, how are we going to make that work? We had just moved. Who's going to stay with the kids? I'm very particular about who stays with my kids. So it was like, and it was a lot. It was a lot of sacrifice to make it work out, but it did. And so it was like, if I can make it work out and I know that I'm not compromising for my kids, we're okay.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, getting into fans and fan support, we are going to get into the fan questions.
Best ones in the whole entire world.
Yes, you do.
I always have, by the way.
I would like to say big old thank you to all of Jennifer's fans because it has been it's always so interesting watching just fandoms. And I do this for most of my guests where, you know, I research and I look and I see how they're commenting and I see how they're talking and I see just this
tell me mine are not the best.
Yes, they are the best.
You can't even.
They are the best, and it's in such a way that it's like this little kind of community of sorts that kind of self-checks each other. Like it's like there's so much in there where they don't allow for anything to slide. They're super protective.
They are.
They're also super on top of you. So like one of them is Team Genobi. Mm-hmm. That's one of them, and a lot of others that are just very much. You can tell that they want the best for you, and that is something super important in fandom. But what I really appreciate, obviously, is that they ask questions.
And also, really quick, I feel like my fans have always been givers, and they're not the kind of fans that just take. Meaning, from my energy, from my this, from my that. They enjoy, but they give. You know what I mean? Yeah. They give it all back to me in love and support and protection, like you say.
Yeah, and so like when you were on these shows,
been very appreciative of
when you were on Asi Se Baila, like that was when I really paid attention to the fandom. I was like, okay, we're moving from a TikTok space to a Reels space. How are they going to engage in a reality TV space? And it didn't change. Mm-mm. There was no just there wasn't anything wild or crass, and just having that energy around you is so wonderful.
It is.
It truly is.
I'm very lucky.
Yeah.
I swear I thank God every day that he put the people around me, not just internally and in the business, but my fans. Like, I'm like, he chose the perfect people to support me, and he made that connection somehow. Just whatever it is, he knows, you know. But I'm glad that he's picked the people he has to support me and follow me, and they've stayed. Like, that was the thing. It was like, obviously, you know, my fans have gotten older with me. They have their own families. They forgot about me, and they're enjoying other music. And it was like, I quickly realized, no, they didn't. They're still very aware and hungry and just still sitting there with their arms wide open waiting for me, you know, and it feels good.
Yeah.
It is. It's a blessing.
And so we're going to ask some questions from the fans. We did put out a post, me and Jennifer, just to let everybody know. And they did ask a few questions. So one of them is from Pachuco Pete Peña, that he saw you
Mi primo.
perform on Canelo boxing match. You still, to this day, still have an amazing voice, and wanted to know if you would be returning to Tejano music.
Well, Tejano music has changed too, I think. Like, Tejano music today, I don't think is what Tejano music was when I was doing Tejano music. Even the sounds have changed and all that. I feel like it's almost like a subgenre of a bigger genre. And honestly, I don't think it'll be the same. It's almost like every decade or decade of music is defined by something. Tejano at that time was Tejano at that time, and it's not going to be that again. You know what I mean? I think it's evolved, it's grown, and it's just changed, period. So now I think Tejano and every other genre is more of a fusion of different sounds. And I think that's great because it doesn't box music into this box, this box, this box. It's like somehow they're just all, there's no rules. It's just what's good, what I like, what feels good, what makes me feel good, what puts me in my feels and in my thoughts and in my emotions. You know what I mean? So am I going to return to Tejano? I wouldn't. I think that there will definitely be elements of my music then in my future music. But I don't think that it's like saying, I was just listening to 90s country this morning, and I got into, it's like saying, are you going to sing Shake the Sugar Tree again? And it's like, are you going to record Shake the Sugar Tree again? Not that I recorded Shake the Sugar Tree. It's like me asking Pam Tillis, are you going to record Shake the Sugar Tree? It's not the same. Music is not the same. If she were to release Shake the Sugar Tree today in country music, it wouldn't do what it did. So we have to change with it as artists. You know, it's just inevitable.
Would you do updated versions of your Tejano hits if you were able to?
That sounds like interesting. I don't know. I think I have more to offer in my creativity that I'm in the process of exploring myself now. I think I'd rather do that.
So speaking of that, we have another question. She segues into the questions, into the topics. She's great. I did not tell her anything. She kept asking me, "Girl, what are we talking about?" I don't know.
I like this too. I like it.
I was like, you tell me what you want to talk about. I don't know. What can we expect from you next? See, I told you. You segued into your own question.
I don't know. Honestly, I can honestly say I don't know because I'm exploring that part of me myself. And I don't know what's going to come out of me right now. I'm looking forward to it. I know it's going to be good. I know that whatever I put out there, I know it's going to be something I like. And I think I have pretty good taste, especially in music. But so I know that it will be something I like, I can identify with, which means I think it will be good. And I, again, think I have pretty good taste and knowledge of what's good and commercial and what other people like as well and popular and all of that. So I think it will be that. But as far as what sounds I'm going to use, what producers I'm going to work with, what songs I'm going to write, and what they're going to be about. I'm still in that process, and I'm exploring that process fully, and I'm fully enjoying that process. And I'm looking forward to choosing at the end what we will, put out there for everybody.
Jennifer, what was the hardest part of stepping out of the scene completely and coming back? By Monica G83.
Hi, Monica.
Monique, sorry.
Okay, Monique.
Monique.
Okay, so the hardest part of stepping out of music and then coming back, probably feeling like people had forgotten me. But my fans made that a little easier for me. They made that transition a little easier for me because it was evident from the beginning that they had not forgotten about me, that they still remembered me, and more so than that they had remembered me and still kind of like, but more importantly, that they wanted new stuff from me and they wanted me again. You know what I mean? And it made me feel welcomed and wanted and loved and all the good things that...
They didn't want just 80s and 90s, Jennifer.
Yeah.
They wanted right now, Jennifer.
Right.
Give us what you are now.
Right. And that's exciting because that gives me that freedom to explore my own self and my own creativity and my own even abilities to put out there next. And I'm excited about it.
I love how most of these questions are all about the new music.
Yay!
So just
I don't know how much I can answer about it.
No, exactly.
But
We
let's
just went through it. So one person was like, "Are you going to come to New York to perform?"
Hopefully. I hope to go everywhere to perform. I miss my fans. I'm excited about being in the studio and exploring the creativity. I don't know what I'm more excited about. Having something out already so that my fans can enjoy that, and then seeing me so that I can see them again and connect with them like that. Like, again, I think even more so as an adult, I appreciate that and recognize that that's part of my personality. I like people. I like connecting with people. I like seeing people and smiling with people and laughing with people and sharing and hearing their stories and sharing mine. You know what I mean? So I can't wait to do that now as an adult and really just, the word I can think of, like, just savor it, saborearlo. You know what I mean? To be out there and see them all again and see them singing new songs and taking pictures with them and seeing, like, even I had the opportunity in last year in September to do a Selena tribute where some of my fans went out, and seeing that they have kids now and hearing their stories of where they've been the past 10 years and the things that they've gone through and their wins and losses. I enjoy that. I enjoy it now more than I ever did because I understand it more. And I understand that about myself more. And it's like, I recognize it as something that fulfills me. It fills me up. It makes me feel good, you know?
And so just really quick, like, you do these Selena tribute shows from time to time.
Oh, no. I did one.
Oh, she
I
did
have
one.
not.
She did one.
Yeah.
She did one, y'all. One. But I guess what I want to kind of touch on real quick since we're here is, how does it feel now compared to when you were young, when I'm sure that you got a lot of the comparison and kind of navigating into this space where that comparison is no longer put on you anymore? Yeah. You now have the ability to stand on your own name. Tell us a little bit about navigating that.
That's interesting that you asked that question. Thank you for asking that question. It was definitely different then because, again, I'm trying to come into and discover who I really am and to always be kind of just redirected to you're this and you're that and you're always, it was frustrating.
You're the next Selena.
Yeah,
You're the Princesa de Tejano. You are this.
Was the next Selena. And that was like, for me, because it was never my intention or something I had strived to do or be, I was like, dude, where are people even getting this from? Like, I can't even see the comparison. I don't hear the comparison. Like, obviously there were things, like, we're both from Corpus, we're both young, we're both, but voice-wise, I was like, she was amazing. And we're very different. And for me, like, our music was different. And for me, our styles were different. She was, she is an icon. So it was more frustrating for me in that time because I'm also trying to discover who I am and to always feel like I was pushed and put under that umbrella or in that box was hard, because it was like, I need to break free. I think I started feeling that that freedom a little bit from that with the album Libre. I think that's when people started, okay, she's not that little girl, she's Jennifer Peña now. That's where people were recognizing me and seeing me. I think people from different countries were starting to learn my music and know me as an artist who didn't know my start and my roots, so they didn't necessarily have that ingrained in their brain already, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So now, I think people just see me as that, you know, and I'm able to, and it's a good thing, because everybody should get their chance to explore themselves and learn who they are and learn what makes them tick. And
because sometimes they treat, and this is just coming from even my own experience in the Tejano music industry going on 10 years and now shifting, is like they treat you like a Ghostbuster. Like you're out there and you're going to Ghostbust Selena. Like
Yeah.
It's like, bruh, that's not how it works. Like,
and there was a lot of that. That was difficult too, because it came with love and it came with hate. It had its sides. There were people that were comparing me with Selena that loved that, you know, whatever comparisons or similarities
in their
they
minds
saw. And there were others that thought I was trying for that thought I was striving for that. They hated me for that were mad that I had started with their father. And for me, it was all organic. It just happened. It just happened that way.
yeah, I hope
You know
y'all
what I
can get
mean?
yourselves educated and listen to this podcast. Haters.
I think, honestly, and I've even read this and seen this a lot in my comments, there was ignorance. And I think people today have even recognized and addressed that and said, you know what, I hated you when I was little because I felt that no. But I don't feel that way anymore. Now I admire you. Now I see who you are. Now I like you. And it's like, thanks. That's what life is about, right?
Yeah. Growing and
what
changing.
makes you tick now.
Mm-hmm.
And now I can make you tick when I didn't then. And that's okay too. No one person in this whole entire world is going to be liked and loved by every other person in the whole world. There's always going to be the two sides.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
but
everybody
it must
has
have been
haters.
hard. Like, just having
As a child, it was very hard.
Yeah, because like they treat it as like, oh, and this is why I was asking most of these questions, because I think it's just really mind-opening, understanding that you did not make these decisions. These were not decisions you consciously went out and did. The way you styled yourself,
Yeah,
how
even
you
the way
did
I
things,
danced.
even the way you dance, all of these things.
I was not a little girl like rewinding and learning choreography. I just did what I did, you know?
Yeah, and that it's just it sets such a different tone for the way labels and management and everybody has a skin in the game. Everybody has an idea of like how they want to push an artist, and some people can think of it as good or bad, but those were not decisions you were making. You wanted to make music, you wanted to create art, you wanted to have fun, you wanted to engage with people. Yeah. Everything on the other side is the other side of it. Now, I have another question from Reina Nani, who says, love that I can introduce your wonderful music to my sons. What have you been listening to lately in regards to music?
That is the best comment right there. I'm like, when I hear my fans say, I've been following you since I was little and now I've introduced your music to my kids, it's like, well, first of all, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm like generations later.
You're like, I'm old!
But it is really cool too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Okay, so what am I listening to now? I'm stuck in the 90s, and I was just talking about, I'm stuck in the 90s and 2000s still. I'm really kind of learning the industry right now and like the new artists that are out. Obviously, I have good taste in music, so what people like I pretty much like too. All those hot new artists out, the corridos tumbados and all that, Peso Pluma, Young Lucas, all those, like I really like it. I truly am enjoying it as well. But ask me to put a playlist on, and it'll probably be 90s, 2000s, a mix of, you know, Spanish and English, a mix of rock, pop, you know, from Maná and Juanes to let's say Faye, and you know what I mean? Like it was always and always has been a little bit of everything. My playlist today, the one that I listen to most is Groove. It's called Groove. It's got a lot of Juanes. It's got 90s and 2000s Justin Timberlake. Let's see. And now I'm starting to slowly but surely add the newer stuff too, like Beso Pluma and, Becky G and stuff like that.
Oh, that's wonderful. And so, like, there is this resurgence of 90s and 2000s. So it's not completely off that you're listening to that now. There's a resurgence in it. And so knowing and understanding and starting to kind of delve into more of what the tastes of music are right now as you're going into the studio, how do you feel going into the studio now and calling the shots?
Well, it's empowering. It's scary too sometimes because it kind of feels like, well, this is all new, and what if it doesn't work? But I like everybody have kind of weave in and out of moments of feeling confident and moments of feeling super vulnerable. You know what I mean? With everything, being in the studio now is like literally one ad lib away from like, oh, that was fire, man. That came out right, just exactly what I wanted. And then the next, like, oh my God, the next minute, like, what if it's too fire? Like, what if people don't like it?
What if it's too
and
fire?
there's doubt. That's part of life too, right? That's part of our personalities and who we are as women and as people. Like, we question, we have doubt, we have moments of confidence, moments of doubt, and that's okay. I think in the end, it's just a kind of overall feel of, I like it. I'm satisfied. I like it. I'm confident in it going out. Yes, it's scary because even if I'm confident and I put something out there, I can have that confidence and still be scared. And you can experience both at the same time and minute to minute changing. You know what I mean? I can be confident in the fact that I gave my best. I did it all. I like it. I think it's good. And still feel the fear of, what if it's not good? What if it's not enough? What if it's too out there? What if it's too different? I mean, I question my freaking TikToks. Like, I can record a TikTok and too much English. Too much Spanish. That one, I don't like the angle of the, and it's like, and then the next day I'm like, I'm going to post it. You know what I mean? I don't even care. That's who, I want to say that's who I am, but I think that's who we are as people, like humans.
I love the breakdown of that because in the studio, I've recorded 4 albums. I'm finishing up the 5th, and
congratulations.
Thank you. But I bring that up to say studio work, at least, and I've said this before in other interviews, but I'll say it now in this one. Studio work definitely is tearing yourself apart and then slowly, like, you are a puzzle. So, like, you just throw a bunch of puzzle pieces on the floor and it's like a 500 piece and you're like, crap. And then you're having to put each one in its correct slots. And sometimes you try to force it and then you're like, okay, that's not the piece, fine. And then you just kind of keep going. And it's interesting that a lot of times, like, it's great that people have studios at home, but I don't want them. I don't want a studio in my house because I already have enough mental health things to take care of. I don't need to, it feels like such a struggle bus because there's a lot that goes into putting together an album, single, whatever. It's a piece of work that really takes something out of you. And are you willing to share a piece of yourself with us today of some of the new music that's out?
I haven't shared enough, girl. No. I'm just kidding. God, I feel like I just dug into myself and like, blah, put it out. I'm just kidding.
Yes, I demand it all.
So, am I willing to share a piece of? Are you asking if I'll share a piece of like
the
what
new
I
stuff?
Have, my new stuff?
Yes, for the fans.
I'm scared. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, like a little bit, like a little taste.
Yes,
and then you got to tell me like if you think it's hot or not.
Yes, hot or not. Wait, I don't know how to use my hands. Like, hot or not?
Oh, playing something, a little bit of something.
Subestimaste mi poder.
but you know what? That's a good little taste.
You almost deep faked me.
Did you hear what I said?
You almost faked me out there. Like,
I know.
I was like,
But it's cool. It's a cool sound. It's a cool vibe, right?
Oh, it's giving very.
Do you like it?
Yes. Hot.
It's hot? Okay.
Yes.
And that's obviously not finished.
Hot.
And
I'll
all
put
that.
put your little hand like this. Put a little fireball right there.
But yeah, I'm glad you like it. And I'm really, really, really excited for people to hear it.
It's very, very modern. Let's just leave it at that. I heard the rest of it. Ha ha. None of y'all didn't hear the rest of it. But it's giving very much you in this time, you in this era, you
grown up me, you mean?
Yeah. Not just grown up you, but it's like, you know, there could be grown up you, and I only speak of this because I come from Tejano, I come from country, and so, you know, a lot of times when we say, oh, you grew up, a lot of times that sound stays with you, as you probably know. Like sometimes the Tejano artists of the 80s are still playing an 80s sound in modern times, and it's kind of, it cuts the grain a little bit. This is not just grown up you, but it's a very strong voice and a very powerful position where we're not looking at anything else. We're looking at your strength as a woman now. And you can hear that right off the bat. And that to me is what I hope, not just women, but I hope all the fans can kind of really get to enjoy, as I've, you know, enjoyed here with y'all. So thank you to her manager who's watching me like a hawk, making sure I want y'all to know. She's watching me like a hawk. See, I can be funny too. She's crying. I'm sorry, y'all. I made Jennifer cry. I'm gonna be on the hate list. She made her cry.
No, it's good. It's good. Thank you.
No, there's a lot of strength. There's a lot of strength in your voice and a lot of strength in your story. I know there's a lot that comes with you as a person, especially with your career, but to see you in this place, really not just advocating for yourself, but really inadvertently advocating for all of us to be in the studio and to be strong and
thank you for that. Yes, thank you.
It means a lot to see you come into your own, because a lot of us grew up with you. We grew up alongside you. We care. And to see you in this space gives us a lot of power to say, you know what, women deserve to be in the studio. They deserve to be producers. They would deserve to shape their destiny their way. And you have shaped it in such a beautiful way. Truly, truly. This is just truly.
Thank you.
And so to wrap up this wonderful interview and this wonderful time we've spent together, I'd love to give the floor to you. What is life accordion to you?
Oh, my. I didn't realize that was going to be the closing question. Life, accordion to me, is hard, but it is experiences. It is lessons. It is lesson after lesson after lesson, and how you choose to take each lesson and apply it, and how you choose to let each lesson and each circumstance and each event affect you, and how you choose to protect yourself, your heart and your mind and your energy and your space.
Well, thank you all very much for another wonderful episode of the Accordion to Me podcast. And as always, puro amor, puro besos, puro Tejano. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Accordion to Me. The team behind this week's episode includes mixing and editing by Juan Pablo Diaz, theme music by Rodrigo Montalvo, produced by Javi G from MD Media. In-person recordings were done at the Spotify Studios and remotely through Riverside FM. Accordion to Me is distributed through Anchor, and you can stream Accordion to Me wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. I'm your host and executive producer, Veronique Medrano. Puro amor, puro besos, puro Tex-Mex.